Hi there, I'm Jeff Plumb from PingSkills.
And I'm Alois Rosario.
And today we're going to talk about what bat you should be using when you're playing and learning table tennis. Alright, Alois, tell us a little bit about the different types of bats that are available.
Yeah, there's a few different levels that we need to think about and look at. One of our biggest bugbears is that we often see players trying to learn table tennis with things that look like that. So that's a plastic molded bat. It has absolutely no grip on the surface, whereas it's okay just for hitting the ball nice and flat like that, but you're going to find that if you're trying to do any sort of spin, it's just not going to work. Similarly with a bat that has the pimples and no sponge. So we've got the pimple bat with no sponge underneath it, as you can see. Sounds like that. It's just ball hitting wood.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned spin a bit there. Is that the biggest problem with these bats?
Yeah, that's the big key. So when you're trying to learn any of your strokes, it's important to have just an element of spin or the ability to put a little bit of topspin or backspin on the ball with your stroke. That actually gives you a little bit better control over the ball as well.
Okay, and then as you get better and develop your strokes more, the spin becomes even more important.
Yes, that's right. So when we're learning at the base level, we develop our strokes to look like a forehand, a backhand. We give you the basic structure of the stroke.
Yep.
What we're trying to do there is to give you a structure that you're going to be able to develop and just increase in speed, length, and develop it to a much higher level without having to change the actual stroke too much. So that's why at the base level, you need to be able to have that basic ability to generate a little bit of spin on the ball.
Okay, so what we're really saying is, if you're using a bat like these, get rid of them.
They're gone. Sorry.
Okay, good. Now, so if we're not using that type of bat, what is the next step up?
Yep. So the next level that I see quite a lot of is the pre-made bat that you find at a lot of sports stores.
Yep.
And at the start, they are quite okay because at the start they have some grip on the surface. They've got a little bit of sponge underneath the rubber to give you a little bit of spin. The only issue that I have with these is that they wear out really quickly.
Okay.
So within a couple of weeks or a month, you'll find that, like this one, the surface of the rubber has gone completely dead and the ball just slides across the surface.
So again, the same problem here. Once this rubber's dead, you can't get any spin, and then it's not really good at all for learning table tennis.
Yep, so once you try to develop any topspin, the ball's going to do that and drop straight off your racket.
And we get a lot of questions about people saying, how do I get the grip back?
You just don't. So once the rubber is actually dead, it's gone, and it's time to replace it. If you rub your finger across the top of the surface and it's slippery, just give it a clean with some water. If the grip doesn't come back, then I'm afraid it's time to upgrade.
Okay, and so we do see a lot of players using this type of bat, which you said is okay to start with, but some people have this bat that's like 5 years old or even 2 years old, and clearly that's no good.
Yeah, so again, we get a lot of questions on Ask the Coach saying, well, I'm doing the strokes that you're showing me, but the stroke still isn't working.
Yeah.
And often when we drill down, we find the reason is that they might have had a reasonable bat, but the rubber's died and they're trying to play their strokes, the ball's slipping off, and so they just can't learn the stroke correctly.
Okay, all right, so that's no good either.
Yep.
What is a good bat that people should start with?
Yeah. So the most important part is when you're getting pre-made bat is to look at the quality of the rubber. The wood doesn't really have a lot of effect on the performance. It's probably only about 10 or 20% of the performance of the racket. What you're really looking for is the quality of the rubber on that wood. So you're looking for a little bit thicker sponge underneath, and as we said, we're looking for that quality of grip on the surface of the rubber to allow you to generate the spin.
Okay, so the big advantage of this type of bat, which we call a pre-made bat, is that it's got more spin.
Yes, it's got the ability to generate some spin, but it still is quite a slow bat, so it's going to allow you enough control to learn your strokes playing the full stroke that we're teaching you.
Okay, and it's important to have that control rather than go for a much faster bat because it's something you need to develop your strokes.
So often when we see players getting a really fast SuperDuper bat to start off with, they find that the ball's just coming off their racket way too fast, and what they end up doing is being really tentative with their strokes and just poking at the ball and trying to push the ball back onto the table. As soon as they try to do anything more, they find the ball's flying off their racket too fast and they can't control the stroke.
Okay. So this is also known, as I mentioned, as a pre-made bat. What does that actually mean?
Yep. So a pre-made bat, all that means is that it comes to you already assembled. It has the wood and the rubber already glued onto it. You don't need to do anything. You can just take it out of the packet and start using it.
Great. Okay. So how long should you go with a pre-made racket, and when do you upgrade to what we call a custom racket?
Yeah. So I would say that this better quality pre-made racket should last you around a year or a little bit more. How do you tell when it's time to move up? Well, that's a little bit harder. As a guide, what I say is that if you're playing your strokes correctly and fully, and also you're moving your racket through quite fast, and you're still getting most of the balls on the table, then perhaps it's time to upgrade. So get something that is going to give you a little bit more performance and a little bit more speed and spin with the strokes that you're playing.
Okay, and so on that upgrade path, we're talking about a custom racket. So
yes.
What is a custom racket and what are its advantages?
Okay, so the custom racket, the only real difference is that the quality of the wood and the rubber starts to increase. So we're starting to get a little bit better quality wood and a much better quality of rubber on the surface. You are also paying a bigger price, of course, when you start to go to the custom rackets.
Okay, and so with the custom racket, you buy the blade and the rubbers separately?
Yes, so you can buy the blade and the rubber separately. So this looks like it's all put together, but yeah, so you've got the wood and the rubber. They don't usually come off that easily. We've just tacked this on for now. So that's what you would have. You'd have the rubber and the wood, and they're quite separate. And so you can basically buy the type of wood that you want, and you can tailor it a little bit slower, a little bit faster, all that sort of thing, different feel. There's a whole lot of options. And then you can also get the type of rubber that you want. So this is a piece of Shriver, which is one of the good basic rubbers that we recommend to start with. And then put them two together, and there you have your custom made bat.
Great. And so with the custom made bat, there's various levels within that. Like you mentioned, the Shriver or Mark 5 are both entry, or not entry, but controlled rubbers?
Yes, yeah. So Shriver and Mark 5 are two well-known rubbers. There are a lot out there, but they're just two that are well-known, that give you good spin, but also give you good control. Again, when you're still learning, that's part of the importance of what you're looking for. So you're looking for something that has still some good control that allows you to learn and to develop your strokes.
Yes. So as we mentioned, there's hundreds of choices out there. We have the PingSkills Touch with various rubbers that you can get. That's a good custom-made bat. It's an all-round blade, which we like because you've got good control. And then you can customize it by changing your rubbers and getting different speeds depending on your playing style.
That's right, yes. So within the custom range, so as we said, there's the Shriver and the Mark 5, which are good base level rubbers. Then you can just move up and start to put different rubbers on. So another rubber is Yasaka Pride, which is a little bit faster than Mark 5, not as fast as something like the Vega Pro that we recommend as the top level. But I think one of the biggest issues that we see, Jeff, is that we often see players trying to switch within levels.
Okay.
So they might have their custom-made bat, their pre-made bat to start off with, and then they'll go and buy a different pre-made bat.
Okay.
Or they might have their base level custom-made bat with Mark V or Schreiber, and then a week later they think, oh no, I want to change, I need something different, I need something new, and they'll get something in the same level but a different rubber.
And so what's the issue with that? Why, if they're still good equipment, what's the problem with switching?
Yep. So when you're practicing and you have just changed your equipment, as soon as you make a mistake, your thought is, hang on, was that my technique or was it the racket? And often we go to, oh, it must have been the racket. So then you haven't got that consistency of learning and consistency of your stroke to develop. There's always that little bit of doubt. That's why we say, once you get a racket within a level, stick with it, play for at least 6 months to a year with that racket, develop your table tennis ability, then you can think about changing.
Okay, great. Now it's important to also know about these rubbers that even at this level, they still do wear out.
Yes. So even the best rubbers will wear out. We say as a guide, between 80 and 100 hours is going to see your rubber through. So after that, you aren't going to get the performance of the rubber that you really need.
So it's time to buy a new rubber. You're going to have to replace your rubbers every so often.
Yes. Okay. And so depending on how much you play, if you only play once a week for a couple of hours, it's going to last you the whole year. If you play every day, then you're going to be needing to change rubber more frequently.
Okay. So there you go. There's a few levels. If you're starting out in table tennis, start maybe with a good pre-made bat for a year or so. Then you can move on to a custom-made bat. Yeah, so there's the pre-made bat. And once you're on the custom-made bat, we'd probably recommend that you start with like a Mark V or a Schreiber, that's something that's not too fast. And then if you still feel like you need some more speed, you can get a faster rubber. So that's your choice. Find a bat that's in your level, stick with it, enjoy your table tennis, and you'll really start to improve. Here I've got the PingSkills Rook, which is our pre-made bat with good quality rubber on it, which we recommend when you're first starting out. Now the good thing about a good pre-made bat is that with the rubber you can get top spin, which means you can play your forehand counter hit, and then you can develop it into a top spin stroke. So now I'm getting good top spin on my stroke, and I can develop it further and hit more top spin and hit the ball faster. So now I've got the two types of bats that we said you really shouldn't be using to learn table tennis, and I'm going to show you why. Just previously you saw that I was able to play my counter hit and then get some good top spin on the ball. But because there's no grip on these, especially this plastic one, it's very difficult to even hit a good stroke. Here, it just falls straight off. So it's really hard, and I definitely can't play any topspin. This pimple bat's a little bit better. I've got a little bit more control, so I can probably develop a counter hit, but there's no spin on the ball at all. So if I try and extend the shot into a topspin, it just falls straight off. I get no spin, and it goes straight into the ground. You just can't learn table tennis with this type of bat. And here's the bat that I use. It's the PingSkills Touch with good quality rubber on it. Now the best thing for me about using this is that for the same sort of stroke, I get more speed on the ball.